My name is Henny Wright, and I am child number 4 out of 5 of Charles Allen Wright. My dad clerked for Judge Charles E. Clark on the Second Circuit, and Judge Clark had been the reporter to the Supreme Court's Advisory Committee on the federal rules, and in fact himself drafted them. My father really learned at his knee about the rules and started to write his magnus opus.
He, along with Arthur Miller, probably did more to organize our nation around how we think about rules of procedure as they relate to civil courts.
Among the law school, Professor Wright was most admired because of his photographic memory.
I never saw him lecture with notes. He would come in and the bell would ring and he would begin class. And it was amazing to watch the level of knowledge and the level of detail he could command.
One day I had gone to meet with him, so I'm waiting in the anteroom, and as his door open, I can hear him. He is dictating a brief. He quotes himself in the brief. I mean, I'm listening to him, he says, well, according to so-and-so and so-and-so, by noted constitutional scholar, Charles Allen Wright. And I was out in the hall and going, this is awesome.
Charlie had many opportunities, as you would expect, to go elsewhere.
UT just really worked for Dad. I mean, the school rose in stature, as did my father, and although Dad went many places as a visiting professor, he always came back to Texas.
He gave a profile to the law school. It mattered immensely.
Charles Allen Wright pushed you to make your argument the very best you could. As a result, I would say he not only made me accountable, but he also made me think more holistically.
Charlie was very religious, very moral, and felt obligated to do the right thing, whether it was in his self-interest or not.
He led a boycott of the faculty club at UT when they backed out on their commitment to start admitting non-white members.
I think Charlie believed fundamentally and passionately that respect for the rule of law was critical to the existence of our democracy.
5 people have been arrested and charged with breaking into the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee.
Washington has been inundated by another massive set of Watergate transcripts.
Evidence in tonight's document shows the president was apprehensive about possible Watergate disclosures less than 2 weeks after the break-in on the Democratic Party headquarters.
Dad firmly believed that everybody had the right to a lawyer.
When Richard Nixon asked Charlie to represent him in the litigation going on with regard to his impeachment, Charlie took it. Nixon wouldn't let Charlie see the recordings and tapes that had been discovered to exist.
I think he became less enchanted and felt like he was blindsided.
He coached the Legal Eagles football team to great success.
Thank God for Charles Allen Wright for extending to me the invitation to join his football team. He was as kind and fun and relaxed on the football field as he was professorial and formal in the classroom. I got my first internship as a lawyer because of Pat Kelly, who was a senior at law school and clerking for a firm. Black law students weren't being recruited. That stamp of having been associated with Charles Allen Wright, I think, served all of us well.
His dedication and belief that a lawyer could have a great life and contribute was inspiring.
Congratulations to the editors, alumni, and friends of the Texas Law Review as you celebrate 100 years of service to the profession and excellence in the craft. I am delighted to participate in remembering Professor Charles Allen Wright, one of the legal giants honored today as Texas Law Review heroes. Professor Wright was a keystone of the Texas faculty and indeed the Legal Academy. My late colleague Ruth Bader Ginsburg called him like a colossus at the summit of our profession. And that was not just a matter of perspective between the 5'1" Justice Ginsburg and the 6'3" Professor Wright. I first came to know Professor Wright, of course, through his legendary treatises, which remain foundational references for any lawyer in the United States. My predecessor, Chief Justice William H. Rehnquist, wrote in the Texas Law Review that Professor Wright exerted such broad influence because of his, quote, ability to explain even complex legal issues in concise, clear prose, end quote. It was my great fortune to get to know Charlie personally when I became involved with the famous Supreme Court seminar he taught for many years at UT Law. Now, my involvement was not particularly significant. In those pre-internet days, when I was a young associate, he would call and ask me to send him copies of Supreme Court briefs for the use of his students. Professor Wright argued 12 times before the Supreme Court of the United States. He was president of the American Law Institute. He was for 18 years a member of the Committee on Rules of Practice and Procedure of the Judicial Conference of the United States. He was the proud and devoted coach of the Legal Eagles football team. He was blessed with a wonderful family. He modeled excellence and a lifetime well spent. And I know his legacy is secure in the Texas Law School and the Texas Law Review. Congratulations again, and hats off to Professor Charles Allen Wright.